He was the one they found dead at the YMCA.
No, they found him in a trailer.
No.
No, they found him at the YMCA.
Was it why?
When Grandma passed away, nobody knew where Georgie was.
Right.
And they had an idea of a farmer he had worked for out in the West County.
Yeah.
So they went, I'm not sure who went. Somebody went and they found him, and he had some, I would guess, drinking problems. And
yes, he did.
Had to clean him up and get him ready. And they brought him to the funeral parlor. And then they kind of kept an eye on him, and he got a place at the Y. And about a year later, I think it was, they found him. He drank himself to death. Well, we don't.
Was it the Y or the Salvation Army?
He lived off and on.
I always thought it was Salvation Army, and somebody said no, that they found him dead in a trailer at a farm.
No, that's right.
He did live in the trailer.
That's right.
For that farmer
but that's
who
not
worked
where
for.
they found him.
And my dad got him a job at an extruding company, plastic
He stayed with
extruding.
us a few
Remember,
days
Dad bought him a knife that he needed, and he would stand there at the end of the machine and cut the pipe as it came out, down around, somewhere around 12th and Pittsburgh or something.
I don't know.
And he used to walk up to the house. I remember that.
Well, he was with us a while.
If the phone rang at the wrong time of day, they were always afraid it was Uncle Georgie because he was in the slammer.
Yeah.
So,
Moving
we
right
didn't
along.
do. Everybody had somebody. All right. Family history. Margaret.
The good and the bad.
That's right.
And the ugly.
That's right. You might have some relatives show up someday.
We got state police and we got criminals.
Okay. Aunt Margaret was next in line. She married,
Joe Wheeler.
Joe Wheeler,
and their children were,
Sidney, Patrick,
yeah,
that's all.
yeah. And Aunt Margaret had red hair. And
Sidney is some kind of an engineer.
He's an aeronautical engineer. He graduated second in his class out of Penn State and had like 120 job offers. He finally settled with somebody that gave him a car along with a nice salary to start. And he graduated in '64 and moved to Santa Barbara, where he still lives, as far as I know.
You must get a pretty good
I've talked to
salary.
him. No, I've talked to him a couple of times.
You're CEO.
Yeah. No, I've talked to him a couple of times.
And Patrick is in Erie again.
Living with his mother on 38th and Washington, behind
And he's head of maintenance, isn't he, at the VA hospital?
Yeah.
Okay. Lillian married Raymond Garneau.
So Margaret's still alive.
Yes.
Yes, and she lives in Erie. She also has trouble with her knees, which seems to run in the family a lot.
Who's that?
Aunt Margaret.
She's had
And
knee
hip.
replacements a couple times.
And hip trouble also. Aunt Lil lived on East Lake Road for
Ever.
All her life since she was married.
Yeah, married.
always had little dogs, Cocker Spaniels named Taffy.
She never had a dog when we visited her.
She had
She always
dogs
had dogs that I know.
years.
Yeah.
Right.
We never
At
saw
the
one.
end, she didn't.
And she always named it the same thing, I think. Taffy, I think it was. They never had children, and she was always fun.
Yeah, nice person, very.
Educated,
Very nice.
nice, funny, laughed. Couldn't wait for her to come to Grandma Erdley's because she'd always make
We
eyes.
used to bring her out to our house too.
Yeah,
I told her she was a hermit.
yeah. She loved to play games, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. She loved to play cards and things.
Oh, cards.
Oh, yeah, you and Mary Margaret used to
She
go.
loved to play
We
cards.
used to go there and play cards.
Please stay for another game. She'd tell Mary Margaret and I. We played for 3 and 4 hours. I had enough of it. I wanted to go, but she wanted to play.
She did.
Lillian is deceased, as is Uncle Ray. Next is Irene, and she married
Great Garden. Yeah. Right.
and he had a gas station.
For years on Parade Street, the corner
38th
of
and
38th
Pine.
and
Pine.
38th and Pine.
And Irene was a redhead also, and they had 2 children, Fred and Eric. Aunt Irene lived upstairs of Grandma Erdley until Grandma passed away.
For years.
For years and years and years. Yeah. And she's still alive, and she still lives in Erie.
She lives out on,
Cooper Road.
yeah, St.
And last but not least,
Pardon?
last but not least,
I can't think.
Oh, Alex.
Who's he?
He's the worst of the 12.
I agree on there.
I
Uncle
figured
Alex
you
is the
would.
baby of the family.
Oh, and he don't like to be called Sonny.
No.
Sonny. And I always like to call him Sonny, but he didn't.
Good
Yeah,
thing
when
you weren't
You know what? I
Aunt
remember
Helen.
growing up
I
calling
think
him.
that's what
We called him
turned
Uncle
her
Funny,
against me.
and he didn't like
She
it at all.
introduced me to her friends. I should have been polite,
I don't know, he
but
didn't like
she
it.
My little
introduced me
brother
as
Sean.
Sonny.
You know, he didn't
I
like it.
says, Goo Goo. After that, she never introduced me.
That was the kiss of death.
That was a kiss of
And
death.
Uncle Alex, you married
I was, yes,
too.
Mary Margaret Caldwell.
Yeah. And you had children.
Just the ones you paid for now.
That's the only ones I had, Dennis. I may have been in Japan, but I didn't leave any there.
So you had Kenny,
Kenny, Donald, and
Linda.
Linda.
Weren't you in Korea?
No,
Oh, I knew you were in the Army during
I
the
said
Korean War.
Japan.
He was guarding the beaches on the
Yeah.
watching for submarines to come in.
So I didn't know you were in the service.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him getting out.
You do?
Yeah, I remember his wedding day.
You do?
I remember trying to get out.
Yeah, I remember his
And I
wedding day. I
remember-
remember going down to Grandma Erdley's on his wedding day,
She
and there was no
made
kids
you-
invited to the wedding. So I don't
That's
remember
cool.
where I stayed, but I remember Mom and Dad going to his, yeah. And at
Went
that
to the
time, he
post
was still
office.
living at home on 21st Street, downstairs. But Margaret lived upstairs then.
Correct.
Margaret and Ray lived upstairs. Or
Margaret Joe
Margaret
And
and Joe.
Uncle Alex worked for the post office
for
to
41 years.
41
41?
years. He retired from
Yeah, he
the
had
post
stock
office.
in the place, did you
And
know
they
that?
never could
I knew
figure out
that
where he
spot.
was at. That's how he
They
stayed there so
paid
long. They
off.
couldn't find him half the time. He was out there getting pies, filling his truck up full of pies. Remember
I
Uncle
seen
Alex?
the
You come
picture
down to the
of
house
them
that time
tents.
with all the pies?
Your father must have told you
He
that.
showed up at the, I was there. He showed up. Whose freezers went down? At the
West
pie
here.
place.
I don't know.
You came to the house. You had the mail truck full of frozen pies. in the
Right,
Belton.
at the West Erie Plaza. I loaded it from the mail truck into your dad's car.
And he's trying to give the pies away because the place their freezers went down. They had all these frozen pies, and he's going around to all the family giving everybody pies
He must have had 100 pies
in
in
that truck. Yeah, they get
I
money and
don't
not
think
booze.
No, I may have said that, but I don't remember seeing the hoarding list. There were 156 carrots, and I was number 1.